Gaza terror reaches the streets of America, killing an Israeli embassy couple in Washington, D.C., and less than 2 weeks later, injuring an 88-year-old Holocaust survivor and others in Boulder, Colorado. Well, joining us to share his insights on growing anti-Semitic terror in the United States and with the latest on Gaza and Israel is Jewish News Syndicate Editor-in-Chief Jonathan Tobin. Jonathan, I want to discuss U.S. anti-Semitic terror in a moment. However, there's a new development in Jerusalem. Israel's cabinet has just made a historic decision to authorize the establishment of 22 new communities in Judea and Samaria. Is this a strategy to block international efforts to create a Palestinian state? What's happening? Why?
I think in a sense it is, but it's also just an extension of what is the reality, the facts on the ground. Let's understand something. When Israel says it's building new communities in Judea and Samaria, it's not taking land away from any Palestinian Arabs. It's not stealing anything. This is state-run land. It's open land. It's more or less what in the United States we'd call a housing development, accommodating in land where Jews have the right to live, which has been guaranteed for over a century, that they can build houses and live and create communities there. There's nothing crazy about this. There's nothing extreme about it. But it also is a reassertion that Jews have rights there. Jews are not going to be denied those rights. And this government is determined to defend Jewish sovereignty. And also, we'll hear a lot that, oh, this is something that is an obstacle to peace. If the Palestinian Arabs wanted peace, they'd have had a state 25 years ago. This is no obstacle to peace. If the Palestinians ever decide they want peace, they can have peace, but they can't have every piece of land where Jews live. And that's the point here.
Jonathan, in the past, President Trump has suggested he supports Judea and Samaria annexation. But what doesn't he get about Israel's perpetual state of war?
Yes, well, the thing is, President Trump, he's a peacemaker. He's a deal maker. He doesn't like war. And of course, he's right not to like war. We don't want wars. Israelis don't want wars either. And President Trump, hates this idea of forever wars, commitments that just are open-ended, go on forever with no solution in sight, which is kind of why he wants to end the conflict in Ukraine. But the point is, Israel is stuck with a forever war because in order to end a war, both sides have to wish to end it. The Palestinians have had innumerable opportunities to end the conflict with the Jews over the land of Israel over the course of the last 100 years. They rejected all of them. Hamas is committed to not merely the destruction of Israel, but the genocide of its people. That war against them and against their Palestinian Arab supporters is going to go on for a long time. You need patience to fight that war. And President Trump has many good qualities, but patience is not one of them. That's a potential source of disagreement with Israel. Also, his negotiations with Iran. Now we have to hope, that unlike, say, President Obama or President Biden, his objective in trying to negotiate with Iran is not to appease Iran, not to replace Israel and Saudi Arabia with an alliance with Iran. As he says that the Iranians are used to dealing with stupid people in the United States, and he's right about that. And he knows a good deal from a bad deal. But the truth is, there is no such thing as a good deal with Iran. They can't be trusted to keep to anything, and they can't be allowed to keep a nuclear program whose only objective is a nuclear weapon.
Jonathan, on to the U.S. Most Americans were shocked to see an admitted Egyptian anti-Semite unleash terror in the streets of Boulder, Colorado, of all places. So what caused that to happen?
What caused that to happen is the way our entire culture in the United States, our legacy media, the liberal mainstream media, academia, everything, they have all bought these lies about Israel committing genocide. They've bought it, they've been influenced, they've been indoctrinated in leftist theories like critical race theory and intersectionality that brand Jews and Israelis as white oppressors of people of color. These calumnies have an impact. It has delegitimized Jewish life and Israel in the eyes of many radicals. They've been chanting for genocide on college campuses all across the nation for the last year and a half. Why should we be surprised that, as has often happened in the past with the left, some of them resort to violence? Some of them instead of just chanting for genocide in Israel, they decide they want to kill Jews here. We shouldn't be surprised about this. What is most shocking is not just the violence, which is horrifying. It's the fact that as a whole, America has not risen up in revulsion. There have been no mass protests. This is not like when George Floyd was killed. There have been no mass protests. There's been no horror. There's no outrage. If this had been, imagine if this had been, a white supremacist killing a person, trying to incinerate people of color in Boulder, Colorado. The news cycle would have been endless. The outrage would have been endless. Instead, most of America, most of certainly liberal America and the legacy media, they moved on pretty quickly. There have been no mass revulsion in reaction to this. They have mainstreamed the delegitimization of Jews. Violence is the natural outcome of that process.
Okay, Jonathan Tobin, Jewish News Syndicate Editor-in-Chief, thank you for being with us. We appreciate you.
Thank you.